Yep, here we go again. I know this is a rod building channel, but we're fixing to paint this rod that you can see right here. This rod is sanded and stripped and cleaned and wiped down with acetone, and we're fixing to paint it. Now, I want to use a lacquer paint on this rod because lacquer dries fast, very durable, and it's going to accept the KBS clear coat that I'm going to use on it. So I've got this Tester's lacquer. This stuff's pretty good lacquer. It's got a great color. The bronze is got metal flake in it. I like that color. Now I could take this and just spray it on the rod, you know, spray it on the rod. But man, I'm going to have lots of overspray. This thing's going to spray a pattern about this big, and I'm trying to paint something this big. So I'm going to use an airbrush. I'm going to use this airbrush right here. So how do I get this paint into this airbrush? Well, that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to do what's called decanting. Okay? Basically, I'm going to spray this stuff out of here, and I'm going to put it in this bottle right here with this tip, so I can just pour it right into that airbrush. Okay? So this is how I do it. Got a little bitty opening here, so it's not really going to be easy for me to just spray it right in there, so I'm going to use a straw. I'm going to use one of these bendy straws. They're pretty cool. Okay, so basically I'm going to cut a piece about here, cut a piece about here, and I'm going to cut a little bit of, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to cut a little bit of a curve into this so it'll fit right around that spray nozzle. Okay, so I've got my straw and I've got some tape. I'm gonna tape this straw very tightly to this cap to where that curve fits right on this cap. So I'm gonna use this tape to keep everything tight. Okay, all right, I'm gonna put another piece of tape on there from the other direction. I don't know if this really has anything to do with anything, but this helps my mind think that it's gonna come out okay. So I'm gonna keep this, tighten it around, close it on top and bottom. Now I've got a little where I can spray it right into that bottle. Now, one thing you wanna do is you wanna shake this can before you start spraying it. Because once that straw fills up with paint and you start doing this, man, it's gonna be a mess. So shake it up for about a minute. This is probably gonna get real fast. Okay, this bottle is about 2 ounces. I'm only gonna spray about 1 ounce. I don't even need that much, but I'm gonna spray 1 ounce in case I wanna spray something else. So here goes, it's easy as this. Just put this in here and start spraying. You can see it just starting to fill up. Now this lacquer paint is not all paint. What comes out of this spray can is paint and accelerants, what makes it actually spray out. And it's all kinds of crazy stuff. It's a lot of gases, basically. So you can see the gases escaping. You want to do this in a well-ventilated area. Okay? So there you go. I've almost got 1 ounce. Let's spray some more. Okay, I've got about half. A little more than that. A little more. Okay, I've got about half of that filled up with this Tester's bronze lacquer paint. Okay, now I can just take the tape off, take the straw off, just take that whole thing, chunk it in the trash. Okay, now this stuff coming out of this can is very, very cold. And that coldness is keeping the gases inside the paint, okay? So we need to get that gas out of that paint, or else this thing is just gonna bubble up and there's gonna be paint everywhere. So we've gotta leave this alone, get this, couple of hours. Not 15 minutes, not 10 minutes, but a couple of hours. So we're gonna come back in 2 hours and we're gonna take a look at this paint and see how much gas is still in it. See you in 2 hours. All right, we're back. It's been about 2 hours and we're gonna check the progress on this degassing process that we use to get this lacquer out of here and into here so that we can use it in my airbrush. So this is kind of like, think of it this way. Think of a Diet Coke. You pour it in the glass, fizzes up, but there's still bubbles in there. Well, that's what this is. This is like a Diet Coke. It's still got bubbles in here. And earlier I had said that that there's accelerants in here. There's not. They're propellants. It's what sprays this out of the can. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this wooden stick here and I'm gonna put it in there. I'm gonna stir it a little bit, and I want you to see what happens. I hope this doesn't come out of the come out of the container. Okay. So we're gonna stir it a little bit. You see in there? See those bubbles in there? Yeah, see, those bubbles right there are gonna really mess with the spraying. So I'm just gonna stir this up just a little bit. Try to get some of those bubbles out. And then I'm gonna let it set for a little bit longer. I'm gonna let it set. Yeah, see all those bubbles in there? Yeah. It has not fully degassed. We want it to fully degas before we start using it. So, mix it up a little bit more. Let that warm up a little bit. And I'm gonna wipe this off. All right. I'm not gonna cap this because all it's gonna do is just cap the bubbles. So I'm gonna let it set for, well, let it set for another hour. It's not gonna dry out. Okay, it's not gonna dry out. It's just not. So here we go. We'll just let it sit for another couple hours. Okay, it's been about another hour. So this has had about 3 hours to degas. I'm gonna stir it up a little bit and see if we have any bubbles. You see that in there? No bubbles. That's pretty cool. Few bubbles around in the back. This thing is gonna have more bubbles the more it warms up. Those gases are gonna get warmer, they're lighter than air, they're gonna try to escape. Stirring them up, agitating them a little bit, helps out. See, look at that. Hardly no bubbles at all. So, even though I've degassed it, pretty sure all the bubbles are out, I'm not gonna use it. I'm not gonna put it in my airbrush till tomorrow. I'm gonna take this cap right here, put it on. Now I'm not gonna put this cap on. I'm gonna leave that there so that whatever gases are in there will escape. Because if I don't, this thing might collapse or blow up or something. So I'm gonna put this on the shelf and I'll use it tomorrow. I'm gonna make a whole nother video on how I'm gonna paint this rod. Because this rod is gonna be part of a series. I'm gonna call it the cigar rod. And that's the next video I'm gonna make. Okay, tomorrow, this paint is gonna be ready to use in my airbrush to paint that rod. Thanks for watching.